Chapter 7 of Murder Makes Me Mad by Ferguson Findley. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 7. The telephone was ringing when I got to my apartment. It was Eddie Zimmer from the 17th Precinct. "What you been doing all day, Chief?" he asked, kind of offhandedly. I smelled a rat. "Walking around," I said, "talking to people." "Maybe you've been talking too much, Rex. Everybody in this town knows that a big tow-headed guy with a red face and blue eyes is looking for Coggy. What are you going to do if you find him?" "Strangle him. What else do you know?" "A little bird told me that a fellow by the name of Smiley Street went into the John in a restaurant, and a big tow-headed guy with a red face and blue eyes went in after him. In about 10 minutes, the tow-headed guy with the red face and blue eyes came out without a scratch on him, not even breathing hard. This fella Smiley Street is still in the John, with a busted nose, a dislocated jaw, 5 broken ribs, numerous cuts, and contusions. What do you know about that?" "What did he do?" I asked. "Fall? It's a good thing the tow-headed guy was there to keep him from getting hurt worse, wasn't it?" "You could look at it that way, I guess. Look, Rex, take it easy or you're going to get killed. You're messing around with something that's too hot for you to handle." "I'll take a chance," I said. "Anything on your mind?" "They're after you, Chief. Watch your whites, because the hot stuff is going to start coming through." "What'd you find at Wirtz's warehouse?" I asked. "Say, I'm glad you mentioned that. Darn near forgot to tell you. We found 5 more cases of Tooley's Irish. They had their original distiller's numbers on them, and we started tracing them back." "Find anything?" "Yeah, they were part of a 100-case truckload that was hijacked last winter. We haven't been able to find how Wirtz got them into his warehouse without them showing up in his books, but he did it." "Any of them poisoned?" 3 bottles out of 5 cases. That isn't too bad, is it?" "No," I said. "Won't kill more than 3 people, probably. A thing like that is enough to drive a man out of business." "Say," I ventured, "maybe somebody was trying to drive Wirtz out of business." "Now you're beginning to use your head, Chief. You're starting to think like a cop. Keep it up and maybe we'll be able to use you one of these days." When he'd gone, I put some iodine on the little cut across my belly, shaved and changed my clothes, and went out. I left the cut jacket at a tailor's to be rewoven, and then I walked uptown to a restaurant owned by a retired admiral and his wife. The Filipino who used to cook for the admiral when he had his own flagship runs the galley in this restaurant, and I guess he doesn't drag down any more on the side than he used to. I was coxswain of the gig when the admiral was a cruise skipper, and we've always gotten along pretty well. I kind of hang out at his restaurant when I have nothing better to do. The roast beef is good and the booze is reasonable. The Filipino hates my guts because he knows that I know he's dragging down on the old man by collecting kickbacks on all the chow he buys. So I walked in, and the admiral was sitting behind the cash register counting his money, and I gave him a snappy salute, and we chewed the fat for a while, and then I ate a huge chow. I was hungry after my mild workout with Mr. Smiley Street. It was a good thing Piggy hadn't been around at the same time. If I had taken on the 2 of them at once, I'd have worked up enough appetite to eat the admiral out of bunkers and boats. I was smoking a cigarette and having a last cup of coffee when the Filipino came in with a joe pot. "Hello, Chief," he said. "How about some hot jamok, fresh made?" "Pour it in," I said, pushing my cup and saucer toward him. "It couldn't be any worse than this Manila Bay mud I've been drinking. How's your bank account? Still growing?" "I have no money," he said, pouring the coffee. "Why you always make joke of me, Chief?" "Don't give me that stuff. You'll be able to buy this joint soon." He walked off, and I drank the coffee and got up to leave. There was the usual line of good-night chatter with the admiral while I paid my check, and then I started to walk home. All of a sudden I felt woozy and knew that somebody had slipped me a Mickey. Everything Eddie Zimmer had warned me about came back to me. They had got to me, just as he told me they would, and I was a dead pigeon if I didn't do something in a hurry. I knew that the best thing to do was keep walking and try not to go to sleep, but I was so damn sleepy I didn't know how I'd manage it. It was impossible to stay awake. I was sleepy, so sleepy. So very sleepy. Somebody took me by the arm as I staggered along, and I was powerless to resist. "Can I help you, sir?" a man's voice asked. "Would you like to have a taxi?" I managed to mumble that I would, and he guided me into a car and slammed the door. My eyes were closed when he helped me in, and I slumped back on the seat. There was just enough strength left in my arms to grind the window down for some fresh air. It was wonderful to be in the taxi, and I knew that pretty soon I would be safe in my own bed again. I'd get that Filipino later for doping my Java. Right now all I knew or cared about was that the taxi was taking me home to bed. Some little part of my brain that was fighting the drug eventually got the idea that nobody had told the taxi driver where to go, but he certainly was going somewhere. This idea took a long time to seep through. I fought one eye half open with great effort and took a look around. It wasn't the taxi I was in, it was a plain, ordinary, everyday sedan. We weren't going downtown, we were going uptown. The eyelid fell like a leaden apron. I knew I could never open it again. But at the same time, some little gland somewhere in my body started pumping, and I got mad enough at that damn Filipino cook to keep breathing in the good old oxygen as fast as I could. Finally, the car slowed down and came to a stop. I pushed the other eye open a little, but it was so dark I couldn't see a thing. Somebody opened the door and asked, "Is he out?" And another voice said, "Like a light." Then somebody took hold of me by the shoulders and dragged me out of the car, and then somebody else took my legs and they carried me away. I could tell when we went into a building of some kind by the different smell of the air. Then there was the sound of elevator doors opening, and I felt that I was being carried into an elevator cage. "Look out for that damn thing," the person at my shoulder said. "This elevator's all shot. It stops when you want it to go. It goes when you want it to stop. The damn doors don't work right. You gotta be careful of it every minute." They must have got it working, because pretty soon they carried me out. I couldn't get an eye open to see where I was going, but every now and then the guy at my feet would have to shuffle me around a little so he could open a door or close one. They should have had a cart. It would have been easier on all of us. Finally, they dumped me on a sofa or bed of some kind. A new man's voice said, "Throw a blanket over him and let him sleep it off." A woman's voice said, "He's so ugly, he's almost handsome, isn't he?" The man said, "Get the hell out of here, Marie. This is none of your business. Forget that you ever saw this guy." And then somebody threw a blanket over me and I couldn't stay awake any longer. It was wonderful to go to sleep. My watch said it was 10 o'clock when I woke up, but whether that was morning or night I couldn't tell. The room was dark, my head ached, but not too badly. I threw off the blanket and sat up on the couch and figured I was going to live, for a little while at least. There were some cigarettes in my pocket and my matches. In fact, everything that I had started out with seemed to be untouched. I struck a match and found a wall switch and turned on a light. There was a door in the room and I opened it. A man was sitting in a chair just outside. "Hello," he said. "You up so soon? How about a little coffee? I got a thermos bottle of it right here." "Where the hell am I?" I asked, accepting his invitation and pouring myself a slug of mud. It tasted good and my head began to feel almost normal. "We'll work that out as soon as you feel up to it," he said. "There's a man here who wants to see you, wants to talk to you." "Who is it?" I asked. "You don't know?" He raised his eyebrows. "You were looking for him all over the place yesterday, I heard." "You don't mean Coggy?" "Who else? You wanted to see him, didn't you?" The guy laughed. His laugh didn't sound like there was anything funny on his mind. You want to see him now?" "Might as well." I shrugged my shoulders. "Which way?" "That way," he pointed. "Just start walking ahead of me, and I'll tell you when to turn. And don't forget, I'm right behind you with a cannon in my hand." We walked down a short hall which was kind of worn out and dusty, and then my guide told me to stop and knock on a door. I knocked, and a voice said, "Come in." It was the same voice I had heard talking to the woman he had called Marie just before I went to sleep. A smooth-faced guy, dark and Italian-looking, was sitting with his feet up on an old desk. The room was somewhere in a loft building, I guessed, and wasn't very big, maybe 15 feet square. There was one window, but the glass was opaque, and I couldn't see a thing through it. There was a horrible old carpet on the floor, and an unshaded light bulb hung down from a battered and dirt-streaked ceiling. A couple of chairs stood in the corners and around the desk, and, in addition to the man with his feet up, there was one other person sitting in the corner. It was shadowy there, and I couldn't see his face. He did have a big nickel-plated revolver in his lap, though. I could see that. "Sit down, Mr. Howard," the man behind the desk said. He had deep black eyes that bored right into you when he looked at you. "I understand you were looking for me yesterday." "Are you the guy they call Coggy?" I asked. "That's what some people call me," he said. "It'll do. What'd you have on your mind? Nothing funny, I hope? Either of these two guys here will shoot you dead if you make a fast play. This is a good shooting gallery. The noise doesn't get outside." I lit a cigarette. "I was thinking about killing you, Coggy," I told him. His expression never changed. "The way I have it figured, you're the guy who killed my sister, who had me beat up, and who killed Debbie Ames. I kind of liked those people. You probably killed Caesar Wirtz, too, but I'm not worried about him. If he hadn't been a crook, he'd have never got that bad whiskey, and my sister would still be alive. The hell with Wirtz. But goddamn you, Coggy, whatever your name is, for Jan and Debbie. I guess I played my hand out, but if I ever get a chance to kill you, I will.
That's straight enough, he said. I've been thinking about killing you, too. You're giving me too much trouble.
I'm giving you trouble, I jeered. You should have been to my sister's funeral, you murdering son of a bitch.
I didn't have anything to do with her getting killed, he said calmly.
I don't believe you. That whiskey Wirtz was selling was part of a truckload that was hijacked last winter.
What makes you think I had anything to do with it?
What was old man Wirtz so scared about when he was talking to you at 3 o'clock in the morning? I asked.
How the hell do you know Wirtz was talking to me?
I was in his office in the coat closet. I heard what he said, and I got the note you sent him, the one he tore up and threw in the wastebasket.
You got that note?
The cops have it now.
Okay, Howard, he told me. Don't come around here shooting off your face about me killing Debbie Ames. You killed her. You got her asking about me, didn't you? You stole the note that Wirtz thought she took. You killed her, you snooping bum.
You got a crooked brain if I ever saw one, Coggy, I snarled.
You want me to let him have it right now? The man in the corner asked. He talks too damn much. So do you, Coggy said. If he gave that note to the cops, this place may be getting hot. I don't want to stay here much longer, and I don't want any blood around the place after we go. Take care of him. We'll figure out what to do with him later.
You're about my size, Coggy. I'll take you on man to man. Fists, knives, or pistols, I suggested.
Get out, he said. You're wasting my time.
You heard what the man said,
the man in the shadow growled.
Get up and get going toward the door.
I didn't know how many minutes I'd left in my life, but I wasn't going to waste any of them arguing. I opened the door and stepped out with the other gunmen at a discreet distance behind me. There was no place for me to run or duck. All I could do was walk straight ahead. We came to the room where I had spent the night.
Go on in,
my followers said. What time of day is it? I asked. Morning or night?
Almost noon, he said. Relax and enjoy yourself. We won't be going out of here until it gets darker. I never did know why the boss liked this place. It's too damn public.
How am I going to get it? I wondered. You going to starve me to death?
Ha, he said. That's a good one. Starve you to death. Why, you want something to eat?
Sure, I want something to eat.
You got any money?
I reached into my pocket and got my billfold and took out $5. This ought to buy the best in the house, I told him. Give me some roast beef on rye, 2 of them, and 2 pints of milk.
Want a quart of milk, too?
No, I said. When I drink out of quart bottles, I always get milk up my nose. 2 pints is what I want.
You're the boss, he said. Get in the room while I lock the door. You can drop the money on the floor.
He hadn't come closer than 10 feet all the time we were talking.
In the room, and pull the door shut behind you, Mac.
It was a heavy door with heavy hinges and a solid-sounding lock, and when it was shut, I knew I was behind it to stay. The room itself had obviously been built as a storage space, and it was as solid as a bank vault. I was in it, and that was that. There wasn't any use in setting fire to the bed or short-circuiting the electrical system, or anything else that I could think of. All I could do was try to get my guard close enough to get a hand or a foot on him, and pray that I wouldn't make too much noise while I was doing it. If the milk came in bottles, they would be good weapons, either for throwing or cutting. I could throw cartons, too. I smoked 3 cigarettes while I was thinking this over and waiting for my chow, and then I had to stop. The ventilation wasn't good, and the room was getting so full of smoke that I couldn't see. There was a knock on my door and the sound of a key in the lock.
Take it easy, my guard's voice said. Count up to 10 before you push it open or you're shot. The stuff is out here in the hall.
He had retreated to a safe distance and was sitting in the chair where I had first seen him, his right hand dangling down at his side with a Luger pistol in it.
Your change is under the sandwiches, he said.
Well, I was going to let you keep it. I looked at him. I'm beginning to think that I won't need it. There were 2 sandwiches on a paper plate on the deck, and 2 pint bottles of milk.
You might want some supper,
he suggested. He got to thinking that one over and started smiling.
Or even tea this afternoon.
I unwrapped one of the sandwiches and began eating it, standing there in the hall with my back to the wall. I opened 1 pint bottle of milk, took a drink, and put the bottle back on the floor. I scratched the back of my head. He kept watching me with the Luger dangling from his hand. I took another bite from the sandwich, picked up the bottle of milk, drank from it, and then scratched the back of my head while I still had the milk bottle in my hand. He still watched me, and the Luger still dangled. "You ever in the Navy?" I asked him.
"Nope, Army."
He tilted back in his chair.
"Guess I still am in the Army. I left before they could discharge me."
"Why'd you do that?"
"Well, they was actually going to court-martial me. That's why I left."
"Probably the Army still has a reward out for you." I picked up the fresh sandwich. "As soon as I get out of here, I'm liable to turn you in and collect it." I picked up the milk bottle, the unopened one.
"That's a hot one," he laughed. "I ain't worried."
He should have been. My right hand with the full bottle in it went back as if to scratch my head, and then I threw it and hit him squarely in the middle of his face, right between the eyes. He never even got his hands up. I was across the 10 feet that separated us and had my fingers around his throat before he could make a sound. The Luger dropped to the deck. I grabbed it and stuck it under my belt. One look at my guard's face showed me he would have trouble patching up his face. I dragged him into the room where I had been and shut the door. He could stay there until I could call the Army and start collecting the reward for turning in a deserter. But in the meantime, there were other things I had to do. Coggy was first. I checked the safety on the Luger and ran softly down the hall to the door of the room where he had been, turned the knob and kicked it open. The room was empty. I cursed and started checking other rooms. Most of them were locked, but those that were unlocked were empty too. The noise of an elevator motor caught my attention, and I turned toward a door under a dirty dim red light. The noise of the motor stopped, the door slid open, and a man stepped out. He saw me and swung a pistol out of an armpit holder. He snapped a shot over my head as I fired at him.
"Look out, Coggy!" he yelled.
My shot caught him in the shoulder and knocked him up against the doorframe as the outside sliding door slowly closed. He tried to raise his gun to take another shot at me, but the door pinned him fast with such force that he dropped the pistol on the deck. At the same time, I saw the elevator start to go down. Suddenly, the man let out a terrible scream. The top half of the elevator cage was closing down on the lower half of his body. I ran and tried to open the outer sliding door, but it was jammed fast beyond my strength. I remembered what someone had said the night before. You gotta be careful of it every minute. The screams continued, shriller than anything I had ever heard in my life. Then they stopped, and the quiet was worse than the screaming had been. I took the man's arm and pulled. He came out, and the sliding door slipped all the way shut. There wasn't any use wasting time on him, so I tried a couple more doors until I found one leading to the stairs, and started running down to the bottom. When I got there, Coggy was gone. There wasn't anybody else around that I could find. The janitor wasn't in his room, but I did manage to find a telephone and call the 17th Detective Squad. Eddie Zimmer was there as usual. "Eddie," I shouted. "Eddie, come the hell up here and get me. Coggy got away, but I got one of them locked in a room, and the other one got chopped in half in the elevator. Damn it, man, hurry."
"Easy, Chief. Slow down to 1/3 ahead, and everything will be all right. Just where are you, first of all?"
I don't know. They slipped me a Mickey last night, and when I woke up I was here with Coggy. It's a loft."
"What's the number of the telephone you're using?"
He snapped. I told him and heard him repeat it to somebody else.
"Stay where you are till we get there."
Then his voice softened a little.
"Are you all right, Rex?"
"Yeah, I'm okay, but you better have a strong stomach when you come in."
"Are you safe?"
"I got a gun. You better sing out when you come in, 'cause I'm a little trigger-happy."
"All right," he said. "I've got the address now. I'll be right up. But there'll probably be several squad cars around the place before I get there. Don't do anything rash. Don't shoot anybody wearing a badge."
I hung up and went out to the elevator and found the nearest door to the street. It was just a usual kind of street in a warehouse and small factory district. I couldn't see the street sign on the corner from the doorway. There was a good amount of traffic, and I wondered how Coggy, covered with blood, could have gotten away. For all I knew, he might still be in the building. That idea gave me the jumps, and I turned around and faced back into the building looking for cover. I didn't want Coggy to see me first. A voice from outside called,
"Hey, Chief! Chief Howard!"
And I recognized Eddie's voice and called back. "Come on in. So far as I know, the place is clear, but Coggy may be somewhere around. This is a lonely damn lash-up. It's good to have company." Eddie came in with 4 detectives. They all had guns in their hands and their badges pinned to their outer clothes.
"This place is surrounded, and there's cops on the roof. What's the story?"
"Jesus, Mary and Joseph,"
one of the cops said as we came around the corner to the elevator.
"It's the legs of a man."
Another cop went over in the corner and threw up. Quickly I told Eddie what had happened. He turned to the cop who had puked in the corner.
Go find out and put in a call and have somebody call out that Filipino cook in the Admiral's restaurant. Go on, Chief. What's next?
They drove me up here and 2 men carried me in. I couldn't get my eyes open. I heard voices, but not too well, so I'm not too sure whether the men who brought me in are the same ones that were here this morning or not.
Where are they now? Is this one of them?
Yeah, there's another guy who's suffering from his face being full of pieces of milk bottle. We better walk up. I don't trust that elevator.
My God, Eddie said. You're a cool one, all right. What do you have in your veins, ice water?
Salt water, I said. Stop kidding. I'm in a state of shock. I'll go to pieces in about an hour and want to sleep for a week, just like after a battle. How do you react?
I shake, he admitted. I shake for about 2 hours, steady. Hey, Sam, he said to one of the cops. Let's get some men together and start up the stairs. Enough so we can leave one on each floor. If any brass shows up, tell him I've gone up to... how far do we have to go up, Rex?
4 or 5. I didn't count when I was running down. It was 4, which was next to the top. The upper half of the guard's body was still lying where I'd pulled it.
Nothing we can do for this one, Eddie Zimmer said. Did you say there's another?
In the room down this way. I slammed the door shut, and I don't think he could get out. I took his gun away from him. He may have another, for all I know, but I don't think he can see to shoot it straight. We walked up to the door, and from the outside we could hear the sounds of someone moaning. Eddie banged on the door with the flat of his hand.
This is the law, he shouted. We're coming in. You can't get away, so play it smart, mister. Don't try anything. We're coming in.
He turned the latch and kicked the door open. The other guard was lying on the floor, his face and eyes covered with blood.
Jesus, Eddie said. One of you guys better go and get the medics.
I'll go, a young detective said. I need fresh air.
And then suddenly the entire building began to fill up with cops. There were cops in uniform and cops in civilian clothes. There were rookie cops and cops with inspector shields. There were doctors and district attorneys. And they were all talking to me at once. A man in a white jacket came up to Eddie Zimmer.
We're going to take this guy that got hit in the eyes down to the hospital now, he said. You can't talk anyhow. He's gone completely off his rocker.
You find anything that might tell us who he is, Doc?
This wallet was in his pocket. Got some money and a hotel credit card in it.
What's the name on the card? Did you look?
Yeah. It's Joseph Gillian.
End of chapter 7.